Welcome to Upwell, the podcast. I'm Sarah, and this is my beautiful co-host, Katie. As fellow female entrepreneurs turned friends and now business partners, we are so happy you're here.
With every episode, it is our sole purpose to share authentic conversations to inspire your personal level up. Take our curiosity, add your best intentions, and flow with us in the Upwell.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of Upwell, the podcast. I'm Sarah. This is Katie, and we are so happy you're here.
Yes, hello everybody. We are super excited today to have our next guest on the show. She is a spiritual medium. She is she is a devoted mom. She is a friend to so many. She is one of the most genuine, intuitive, just beautiful people that both Sarah and I have ever met, and we are super excited to have her here today on the show. Laure Marie.
Thank you guys. That was just such a beautiful intro. You just nailed those. I love it. Thank you.
You're so welcome. You're so welcome.
Appreciate that.
Katie writes them in her journal at night. She's like, this is how I'm introducing
this
our
is
next
how I'm
guest.
going to
I love it.
introduce
Just
everybody.
let that intuition flow to that
Yes.
face, right? That's what we're here to
Yes.
talk about. It's perfect.
That's awesome.
Good.
So, Laura, tell us a little bit more about who you are, what you do.
Sure.
Give us some background on
How much
yourself.
time do we have?
I know.
Okay. So I'm Laura, as many of you already said. I go by Laure Marie in the spiritual community aspect. I think that people know me as like Laure Marie, the spiritual medium, Laure Marie, the evidential medium. I guess I'm gonna go by title. So I'm a mom, I'm a wife, I'm an aunt, I'm a friend, I'm a daughter. I think that's just so important because the people around me are truly why I think I'm able to be who I am and who I'm most comfortable around. So really enjoying all of these titles and fun things. So
And mom is your newest title.
it is, yes. So I have both Cole and Claire. Claire is obviously kind of a fun name if we talk about the Claires. So I wasn't able to do anything cool with Cole's name like that. He got the cool middle name. So he's Cole Wild. But yeah, so mom life, my little guy just turned 3, just started preschool yesterday. So that's been a really fun adventure. Yes. And Claire is just my little old soul. If you got to meet Claire, she's been in this world before. She is like my little old lady in her little body. And it's just so fun. But she's done this all. She knows what's going on. She's just kind of here for the ride and
That's perfect.
fun.
Keep you company. She's here to be your pal.
Totally.
Yeah.
So I love that. And then I also have a preteen, Maddie, who is my bonus daughter. So that's always fun, preteen life and dealing with all that. So we're working through that.
Prepare
and
you for the next two.
I can't wait. I can't wait. But
an expert by the time they're there.
Right. Luckily, they're all very good kids. They're just very focused on what they want, and that's what you want. They're self-determined, and it's really cool. So it's just fun to watch them and step back. So
Well, outside of momming, which I could talk to you, I could talk to anybody about being a mom all day, but that's the number one gig there is in life. But outside of that,
I'm not one except to dogs.
Dog mom is so important. That is just as important.
Yeah.
I mean,
pets are people.
Yes, pets are people.
true.
I'm also a dog mom, and I forgot my poor Gibby. So yes,
I know.
dog mom too.
Apologize to
Sorry,
all the dogs out there.
All the dogs in the world. We didn't forget you.
Anyway, outside of all of those beautiful things that you do, you are a spiritual medium, but you're an evidential medium. Why don't you explain the difference between those and kind of what that means for people that want to know more about mediumship in general?
Yeah, so honestly, I like to say evidential medium. My biggest thing when I got into learning to develop and give people readings was I wanted evidence. I didn't want to go to someone that just said, hey, I have a grandma here. We all have grandmas, and she's over here and she just loves you. That's beautiful if that's what resonates with you. But for me, I really wanted those details. Like I wanted to make sure the person that I was having that connection with was like, really feeling my loved ones. Like, are you really seeing them? How are you identifying it with them? So that's where that evidence piece comes in. So I kind of say, whatever you're open to, whatever kind of mediumship you like, that's fine. But I like to look into the evidential part. I want to really get those aspects. I tell spirit before every reading, I want to know those facts that only you guys know. Yeah. There's no way that I could have Googled it, Facebooked it. We don't pull death records. I don't do any of that. So just give me that evidence where that you guys know that, you're paying a price to be with somebody and share that, moment with them. How do you know that connection is truly for you? Like, how do you know that those are your loved ones? So that's where that evidence piece comes in. And I think it's really special. So that's just something I kind of do in my practice with it all.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah.
And
I love that.
for people that don't know what a medium is someone that can connect you to your past loved ones.
That's good.
So
or just spirit in general.
Correct.
Yes.
And I tell people, like, I don't think, people are like, oh, you have such a gift. It is a gift, but it's something that I will say, it's my belief. Everything I say today is my belief. I truly believe that everybody is a medium. I think that everyone has that ability.
We've talked about
to
that before.
connect in. It doesn't, you're not like someone didn't, God, universe, whatever you want to say, it's not like they're like, oh, you have the gift, you don't have the gift. That's not how it works. It's just some people might develop it as a child, other people might develop it later on in life. It just kind of depends on how that universe is aligned, that energy, and how open you are to it and unblocked is what I would say. So for me, it's been since I was little. Some other people are a little bit older, and that's okay too. But
well, tell us about that and how you kind of developed into what you do now, and kind of cultivating your abilities, and maybe how people could get a greater understanding of what that is or what that looks like.
I will do my best. So obviously I'll say I thought about this when I was thinking about when did this all start. I truly believe for me it started as a child. So I'm obviously a child of parents that were both entrepreneurs, which is really cool. I have kind of a crazy childhood when I think back of it. Like I think I don't know if everyone had what I had going on, but we all have unique stories. So mine kind of started, I was the kid that would see spirit and tell my best friend, thank God she's still my best friend today. Crazy. But I would tell her do you see that over there? Or hey, I'm holding a beer can. Like I would literally see spirit and they would hand me objects and I'd be holding a beer can. She'd be like, there's nothing in your hand, Laura. Like just things of that nature, right? So that's how my life kind of began. It was just these little things. I also had the imaginary friend. So if anybody has an imaginary friend over there, newsflash, it's a spirit. And it's my belief again. But I had the imaginary friends that kind of kept me company, and they would come to the dinner table with me and go in the car with me. And luckily my parents were both very just understanding, maybe just thinking I was going through something. I don't know, they didn't oppose it, but I always had those little people, and I just assumed everybody else did. And then I would just later on find out, talking to people that, okay, not everybody has an imaginary friend named Sally hanging out with them, and they don't always see things. So it was kind of really a beautiful journey, but also kind of scary, because as a child, when you're going through that, I kept thinking what's wrong with me? Am I really, people maybe she just has a little issue, maybe she's thinking too much into stuff. Maybe her life has been really, special, and there's a trauma there.
Well, I do think though that there, for just mainstream, there is, a medical diagnosis that people can be given for somebody that they see that's there, but that goes more, I think, into a destructive behavior. So there is that difference, of yours was never anything where it was harmful in any way, shape, or form. So for you, just to kind of differentiate in case that popped into anybody's head, oh my gosh, this chick's talking about seeing people, and is she schizophrenic?
There is thank you for pointing that out.
I don't think our listeners will ever think that of anyone on the show.
No, but it's just funny because I was well, just in case, I want to just point that out that there really is that difference, between understanding other realms, and having a cognitive, mental,
correct
thing going on. So Laura just has the special ability that we all have to kind of see deeply.
She just knows how to work it.
Yes, you have to learn those tools. So it kind of goes back. My father owned just kind of a little backstory. My father owned a cave down in Southern Illinois. It's called the Shawnee Saltpeter Cave. He had live rock concerts. We did retreats out there. It was a really awesome property. Well, as a kid, we spent all of my summers living in an RV, a bunch of hippies with no electricity. I mean, we had the generators from the RV, but we were in 53 acres of ponds, waterfalls, paddle boats, and cave swallows.
Plenty to do.
Beautiful, right? But I'm thinking, why does my summer have to be like this, Now I think back, I'm that was my, breadcrumb. That was the start of my journey. Because I was a kid. My friends would come down. They're this is boring after a week. They wanted to go home. So I would just sit there a lot by myself. My sun in my hair, laying out on the paddle boat. But I'd start to, really connecting with that nature around you. And you can really ground yourself. It's such a beautiful thing. And little did I know, right? You were walking around without shoes on and being on those paddle boats and listening to nature and just starting to, talk to it. You kind of help those abilities, and it's really, really beautiful. So I'm thankful now. While I thought it was a really boring aspect of my childhood, I'm that was my breadcrumb. That is where it all started, and I'm so lucky that I had that as a little girl. So
that hindsight,
it's cool.
It's usually so amazing.
There's always a reason for it. So I say, let your kids be out in nature. Let your kids be bored. Let yourself be bored. Definitely. It's so important, because when you do that, there's going to be these little downloads is what I call them, but these little nuggets of information that will come to you, and you're going to be what was that? How did
So,
that come to you?
Tell me more about that. That's
Yes,
my segue because
yeah.
we want to talk about today intuition and people's own intuition and how they can tap into some of the abilities that you have, you know, not necessarily the full extent if you don't want to do that, but I think as humans, if we are more connected with ourselves, connected with nature, we do have a lot of those abilities using our intuition to make decisions in our lives, you know, just, and to have that, I call it the knowing, you know, when you just know, when you have that gut feeling, like
that spidey sense that
spidey sense.
Yes, exactly. That's so
yeah.
much intuition. So tell me a little bit more about, you know, what you describe intuition as, you know, how can you tell someone what their intuition looks like and why you think we're so far removed from our own intuitions.
I can definitely do that. So I will say the first thing I will tell everybody is if you are going to explore, you know, your spiritual side and get into that, is you always are in control. I think people get so confused about that, like, oh, I'm nervous if I step into it, it might be too much, or it might go away, or I don't want. You always have that boundary. We set boundaries with spirit, we set boundaries when we step into that light to let that in. So just know that you're always 100% in control of it. I just want to say that going into it. But intuition to me is, like you said, it's those little downloads that we get. It's information that you receive that you didn't have to think about. It's subconscious. As soon as you start to think about something, so you get a download, call Katie. I don't know why I need to call Katie, I just know I need to call her. Then you do that. That's that intuition. If you think the light was red, well, was it really red? Did it wait 30 seconds? Am I staying here longer than I should have? That's not your intuition. Now you went into cognitive thinking. Yeah. So as soon as you start to think about something, that conscious thought, then you're out of the intuition zone. So I just say your intuition are those little nudges. When you get around, I'm really big on this like a social sense. You have a lot of people in a room. If you're sitting there and you're like, hey, I just am not jiving with that person. It's just a little off. Trust it. I'm not saying that there's anything wrong with that person. Your body is just your identifier. It's telling you, hey, something's off. It doesn't mean they're a good or bad person. My energy just doesn't jive with them, and that's okay. So just be cognitive of that. I also say if you're, you know, in a dream state, so dreams are a beautiful way intuition comes in. So that's like where a lot of beginner steps start. And not even beginner, you can be more advanced too. But when you dream, your body goes into this certain, and I know you know all this, like the REMs and all these states, right? We have brainwave states that we have. And when you can get into a certain brainwave state, all that, those downloads kind of can happen. So you can get visits from people who maybe passed away. You might get just, you know, some sort of a psychic intuition where you're like, hey, I need to do this. Or, hey, we're going to do this for that.
What's that called when you think it happened already?
Deja vu.
Deja vu. Yes. So did you ever see the movie Deja Vu?
No.
So that's like my favorite, like one of my favorite movies. I'm not a big movie buff. Deja Vu is really good. And I would tell you the person, but I'm really bad. I told him I'm not good with famous people. Denzel Washington, I think it is. That might be a blooper, but really good, really good movie. But it talks about intuition. Not intuition. It talks about that deja vu. And basically, I kind of believe. I know people think this gets a little out there, but I believe that sometimes we're like 5 seconds removed.
Oh yeah.
So like something has happened, and it could be 5 seconds, however that is. But that energy shift, we're like not in the moment that we're in right now. Like this has already happened.
That's why it's in like multi-universes. So I do think we are in more than one place at one time. Don't turn this off. It's gonna get better.
We're not crazy, I promise. Okay.
But going back to, you know, those intuitive hits, and I think, like you said before we started the show, we were talking about how society kind of removes us from being in tune with our intuition just based on what we think is normal. You know, having a cell phone and, you know, being in that cognitive state, always having to think about things instead of allowing our subconscious to come through. So tell us other ways you think possibly that affect that for us or remove us from our intuition.
Yeah, those cell phones, those are a huge device, like, right? That it's that constant distraction. So I would say the biggest thing if you want to learn how to tap back into it and, you know, kind of focus in is to take yourself away from distractions. The television, the cell phones, the computers, the social sites, right? I get that that's a great like an advertisement or a place to find information, but sometimes instead of just being bored and quiet, we go to that. Right? And when you do that, you're filtering yourself with all this downloads of stuff that's not really your thought. Your mind isn't thinking, it's being thoughtful, it's giving information and then you're processing that versus just thinking like, okay, how am I feeling today? What's going on in my body? We used to be really in tune with that. Like we
have talked about this on different levels of like just the dopamine addiction to it, as well as an episode that we're probably going to do at some point, the trackers, like the fitness watches or the trackers, and how so many people actually, and it just made me think of that, how so many people think of, oh, well, how do I feel? Let me look at my watch. Like we've gotten to such a disconnect with that, and it's like,
it's scary. It really is scary. And it's not that, I know you guys did an episode on this too, but like the things we put into our body. So when I say mind, body, spirit, I truly mean it. You are 100% what you eat. Yes. You are what you think. and you are what you feel. So if we're constantly listening to depressing, very heavy information, I know it's out there and I'm not trying to be discrediting to that, but when you're thinking of that, that's what your mind shift sits to. Like it goes that way because like, okay, instead of thinking, oh, the grass is greener on the other side, now we're thinking of that negative part. You're like always trying to focus on that. So I just say like you are what you put into your body, you are what you believe. So if you can think of like positive affirmations, if you can start your day with just a positive mindset, it can shift things for you. So society, unfortunately, it is. We are very much accustomed to, you know, what's going on today, what are my friends up to? We're so focused on everybody else, and it's a distraction that we're not learning to just trust our own self. So, you know, when you wake up in the morning, how am I feeling today? Do I feel achy? Did I sleep the wrong way? You know, but so much of us just kind of pick up that phone. And
or, you know, one of the
scroll.
big things I think people do too is turn on the news immediately. And, you know, they call it television programming for a reason. You know, that programming aspect, it's because it removes you from your own thought, you know, and then I don't know if you've watched the news lately, but it's usually not positive things. So again, going back to the power of starting your day with a positive mindset, you're in total control of that if you don't allow something else in, you know?
I was just about to say that actually, because you and I actually talk pretty much every morning. We communicate with each other every morning, and you know, I've had a couple of, you know, harder days recently, and she has been, you know, you're in the driver's seat on how your day's gonna go, and that's, you know, she says that to me all the time, and it's such a good reminder to just remember that you truly are in the driver's seat for how your day's gonna go.
And surround your people, like that's so important.
And
to have that community.
yourself,
So surround your people, your vibe, attract your tribe. I know this is all one day. Like we've all said this stuff, but like it's true. It's these little things that are here that we just don't want to like, well, that's not real, that's woo-woo. But it's not. Like you are the people, the 5 people that you hang out with. That is who you are.
Yes.
So you have to think about, and you know, I think the big thing too is like relationships change. That's okay too. So people come in and out of our lives. There's a reason for that.
There's a purpose.
There's a purpose. There's a life. There's a lesson. Whatever it may be. But it doesn't mean it's a negative thing. It's just, hey, our energies aligned at one point, and now the universe shifted and it doesn't. That's okay.
Yeah. And
so I think that's great that you guys have that.
I think seeing everything in life as a lesson is one of the most important things for people to take away from this conversation. Is like, you know, removing that things are good or bad, you know, taking away the this or that and just making it is what it is, and it's some sort of lesson, whether the outcome was positive or negative. You know, in the moment, it's always trying to teach you something, and that's such another level, you know, going back to the intuition piece, like that's such an important thing to know, that when things are happening for you, you know, things are unfolding a certain way, that there's a lesson to be learned. So going back to intuition, I feel like we've gotten some really we
knew it would be,
and it's all clicking. It really is. But I want to know. So I feel like we've talked about the things that maybe take us away from our own intuition or get in the way of connecting with ourselves. So what are some things that people can do? You know, actionable things that people can do if they want to strengthen that intuitive sense and get back to their inner knowing.
Right. So I would say that one of the biggest things you can do is meditation. And I know that can be so trying for some, right? But it's just that simple time, again, of like calming yourself down. If it's before bed for 5 minutes, if it's 2 minutes on a lunch break, whatever it may be, that meditation, it's not doing it right or wrong. It's the time of just letting your mind slow down, your body slow down, and you to tune in with those thoughts. So we get those little like the little voices that might come in, maybe not for everybody, but those little like pictures, images, feelings, right? You can do a lot of focus on your meditation. Journaling is also wonderful. We talked a little bit about dreaming. I encourage a lot of people, just keep dream journals by your bedside. When you wake up, I don't care what it may be, take time and just note that down. I don't care if it's dinosaurs chasing you, whatever it is, there's little things, there's little notations that your body will give you, and you'll go back and be like, oh my gosh, I dreamt that a year ago. I remember this, right? And it'll be like that double check where you're like, okay, I'm not crazy, that there was something there, right? And journaling can help so much with that.
I'm going to interrupt real quick because I have a question about dreams.
Yes.
Okay, so what is your take then on, I have a repetitive dream, and I know it's a repetitive dream, and it's a dream and it's the only dream that I am aware of that I have had repeatedly. What are your thoughts on that? Because I've heard other people who have
reoccurring dreams.
Have a reoccurring dream, and I mean, it's almost exactly the same.
Interesting.
Every single time.
So I think there's a couple components here. Like what I will say, again, I'm not trained in why we dream or what the repetitive dreaming is, but what I will say is that I think it's usually your body's way. It's either, I don't want to say trauma because that puts a negative name on it, but there's something there that your body's trying to fix. So when my dad passed away 10 years ago, I had this reoccurring dream every single night with him basically saying like, I wouldn't have passed if you would have picked this up, or if the pathway would have been clear. It was a really unique, but it was almost like he was blaming me for his passing. And I'm like, this is really strange. Like, this is not my fault, right? Like, this could be detrimental, right? So, through like figuring that out, I'm like, there's something missing here. Like, there's something my body is trying to figure out. Like, my dad's no longer here, and it can't figure it out. So it's like this record that plays, and this dream is just repetitive to get that piece to kind of fit in. So I did some therapy with it and did some different healings and modalities, and then finally learned, like, okay, my dad's not here and that's okay. And my brain was able to like check that mark off. You don't have to have ownership for his passing. It's not your fault.
Right.
And like releasing my soul from that, the dream stopped. So I believe like when there's something going on, it's a reoccurring dream. It's either something from a past life that your body is trying to put that piece in or figure out where that missing link is, or it's something where your body's like, you're not listening.
Interesting.
There's this little like nudge here where there's something we need you to work on. It might not always make sense. It's not as clear as day. It's like, oh, Katie, you need to take more vitamins. We're gonna have a dream about vitamins. It's not that clear.
No, I was just gonna say mine are. Well, it's funny that you say past life because again, this is gonna sound.
Turn
it up. Don't turn it
This is
off.
gonna sound out there, but I can guarantee if you're listening to this, you probably have had some sort of experience like this.
Yes.
But I used to have this recurring dream, and I thought it was always because I watched too much Xena Warrior Princess when I was a kid. But I had this dream of me on a horse. I think it was me. I never saw my face, but it was me, my legs on a horse, and I had like armor, like I was in medieval times. Like, but I was like leading troops of some sort, like into this.
Do you want to know what's
battle.
crazy though? With like her thing, my dream, I have one of the dreams. Actually, because I've had two recurring dreams. My dream, I can see what she has. When she described her cape that she wore, that she would see. That is, I've had a dream where I'm on a horse and I can see that cape in my dream.
So I've had a recurring dream as a child too, which aligns with both of your dreams. So it's interesting, but I used to be in a wagon, like I was a little girl running through a forest, and there's this like a carriage with like horses, and it was in the medieval times, like coming after me to like pick me up. And as soon as he would come in, like he had like the top hat on and the cape, he'd come to like scoop me up, and then I'd wake up. And it was every night, like it was terrors for me as a child. So it's just interesting, but it's something in our mind. Again, it finally went away. I must have fixed or went to enough therapy to check that box off and fix whatever that was. But there was something there. It's interesting because
I went to a past life regression therapist.
Okay.
And she pulled me into this hypnosis state, and I was able to regurgitate way more information than I could ever remember from that dream, and I haven't had that dream since.
Amazing. So past life regression.
So I have no clue what it meant or what it was, but I don't know if I was just seeing my past and it was just coming back. But now that she like was able to extract more information and I learned more about it, I haven't had it since.
And
I probably will now.
I haven't had the dream since I met her.
See, so it tells me like there's something, there's a line there, or something that she shared with you from that past life regression. We could do a whole nother topic on that, but there's so much there. And I've done the same thing. I did past life regression, and there was something in my life where like I was a little girl that was bound by drinking. There's a lot of alcoholism in my life, and I actually passed in a past life from drinking. So when I did that session, I'm like, this makes sense of why but I'm not going to drink anymore. Like I cannot do this anymore. And it's like it checked that box and fixed it. So past life regression is so important because again, it's a subconscious mind. Yeah, you're getting yourself out of being right here. It's a meditation. You can hear what's going around you. As you know, you're not like in this deep state. You can answer and speak, but it's your mind answering. And when you listen to your replay, I'm sure that's like the number one thing is listen to that replay. Yeah, because my voice doesn't sound like my voice in the replay of this. You have to do it sometime. You have to. I will.
I
guarantee we went to the same gal. Like, yes. So
probably it's pretty awesome.
It's pretty awesome. So no, it's really cool. But there's so much there.
So how can people? Let's say people want to remember their dreams, because I actually struggle with that a lot of times. Other than that reoccurring one, or unless it was something super traumatic like in a dream or something. Actually, I wake up laughing a lot, and I'll remember the thing that made me laugh, but not the whole story. Right. So I feel like that's a level of intuition too. So if I'm wanting to remember my dreams or get more in tune with doing and not thinking, and being able to bring things into my subconscious mind. What are some things that I can do other than, I know you said meditation, but are there other ways that I can open myself up to that?
Yeah, so one thing I'm really big on is some meditation too, but listening to certain sound waves. So we have I'm not thinking the name of, there's a scale that we can go on. There's different ones that activate. Hertz scale. I know there's actually like a meter.
The Schumann resonance?
Yes, yeah. So there's one, I don't know what range it is, but there is one that focuses on dreaming, and it really does work. If you can listen to the certain hertz.
Find it.
Yeah, I think it's 740.
For the theta brainwaves.
Yep, theta brain. If you can do that, that can really help open that, because it gives you that that decision of where we want our brain to go to. So there's one for dreaming, there's one for past life, there's one for connecting with your loved ones, there's one for just like happiness and just certain tones of that. That's another really great way just to kind of activate that. It's that little tool and a little helper. But you don't have to focus on like those check boxes of like meditation, journaling, all of that. I would just say the biggest thing you can do for yourself is give yourself time to kind of be with yourself. Get comfortable being alone.
Yes.
It's so important. It's so important.
I'm going to just add to that one thing that I have found that has helped me remember my dreams. When I'm waking up, I don't open my eyes right away. I keep my eyes closed.
I like that.
I keep my eyes closed, and it kind of keeps me in that where it's like I know I'm awake. And so now when I'm in a good dream, it's weird because I can feel myself start to waking up, and then I'm like it's almost like a dual thing to where it's like, okay, you're waking up. No, but I'll tell myself wake up gently.
I like that.
And I wake up gently, and then I'm able to remember the whole dream.
I like that.
All right.
All these tools.
At home trying all this stuff.
And honestly, take your shoes off and be grounded. Like
yes.
One of the biggest things for intuition to come in is to be grounded. If you're someone that is not grounded, and I know that's someone that if you feel like you have anxiety a lot, or you feel very unsettled with when you're in a room, in a space, there's something with that ground
Or
that
rushed. I feel like people that are like constantly in a hurry or like I know I'm late a lot. I'm late because of my own vices, because I think I have more time than I do. Okay. But I feel like I'm a more grounded person. But those people that feel rushed or anxious all the time, I think, I think there's something to be said about being ungrounded and feeling like that.
Yes.
Slow down if you're feeling agitated, or you're having a short spew, like where you lose it really quickly, or you're agitated in life. Then there's a reason. That's your intuition coming in. Like slow down. I saw a meme the other day. It showed, again, I'm not memes. Here we go. But like when your eyes water, your brain needs a break. That's it.
Eyes are always watering.
Your brain needs a break. When your nose,
bye guys.
I
gotta take a break.
Yeah, when your nose runs, your body needs a break. Like that. It's
my
just
nose is running right now.
It's sleep. It's like that simple thing, but like emotions and all of that. Like we have so many little tools here, but we always want to have these like medical diagnoses and try to figure out what medications we can do to help us. You just have to be present. Be present in the moment. Slow down. Give yourself space. Like give yourself time to just be with yourself and reground with nature. Like go walk outside barefoot. Go hug a tree. Go just smell the flowers.
Got a whole episode about it.
See,
make sure you watch it.
Take those moments because it is. It's really, truly, it's that simple. You don't have to spend a lot of money or create these checklists. We do that too. Like, I'm on a spiritual journey. Journaling, check. Meditation, check. But you've now taken away from the practice of spiritualism. It should just come free flowing. I don't meditate every day. I meditate when it comes to me, when I'm able to do it and it feels right. And those are good meditation sessions. Sessions where I'm trying to squeeze it in.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
And that we talked before we started rolling, and I wanted to touch on it, so that's perfect that you just said that. But when people seek these things, like personal development and spiritual growth and healing journeys, you hear all these fluffy words that are rolling around the internet and people talking about on podcasts like us. But I was deeply immersed in that for years. I knew I had a lot of things that I wanted to heal and grow from, and just I don't want to. You feel like you have character flaws. That's kind of how it starts, and then you want to start to work on them and fix them in for good. Not with ill intentions or anything like that. But then your thoughts and your intuition can get so crowded. I want to say crowded out by all of the stuff that you consume. So whether that is, reading books, watching documentaries, I'm totally not against those things because they were a huge part of my, journey, my beginning journey. And I think they're important, for you to help to support that journey for yourself. But I think there's more importantly, connecting with yourself is the best way to find out, what needs to heal, what needs to happen in your life, how it needs to unfold from here versus trying to extract it from a page in a book.
Right. And how many of our nightstands look like this with 3 different books on, right? You have
Mine
5 podcasts listening, and it's all wonderful. But there's boundaries too. You have to give your time, like space your body to absorb what you're listening to. You know what I mean? When you're reading 3 different books, you're multitasking, right? Yeah. So are you really taking in 3 different books, or are you just taking bits and pieces? It's kind of, when you multitask, you do 10% of everything versus 90% of something. So take time, read the book. If you don't, you get bored with it, take a break from it, come back to it when you're not. But when we start to do multiple books, multiple podcasts, we're listening to the radio all the time. People can't even drive without texting. Yeah. Because we're so connected. Like, just take a moment because I get emotional.
I'm people.
She's
talking about me.
Don't do it. Spirit comes in all the time to be like,
Yes, I
put
drive
that
in
phone. I
silence.
was like, put it in the back seat. I get that message all the time, and I try. I will not. There's not one text message in the world or phone call that you're gonna miss that is worth taking someone.
Can I tell you one thing really quick? This is how amazing you are at what you do. We had a meeting once, and Spirit sent you that I was texting and driving. I know that was my brother telling me that. I swear to you, when I left, I was texting and I almost rear-ended a semi, and I looked up. I put my phone in the back seat because you literally channeled. You need to put your phone in the back seat. You're texting and driving, and you knew that, and you didn't know that I was texting and driving.
Like, oh,
and then after I left that, I almost hit the back of a semi. I had to slam on my brakes, so I threw my phone in the back seat.
But you did what you needed to do. You threw it in the back seat, and that was like, okay, that was real, right? Like, I wasn't doing what I was supposed to be doing. So that's what I'm saying. Like, we as a society, it's like people are like Facebooking. Like, it's so important, but like, just focus on driving. I get out so many of my moments, like intuition, are two places: the shower. As weird as that sounds, in a car. Because I'll see a sign, I've seen that sign 100 times before, but now I'm seeing it in a different light. I'm seeing a different word, it means something different. So I see the name Robert, yes, it's my dad's name. I've seen that 100 times, it never meant anything to me. Now I'm thinking of my dad, okay, that's Spirit coming and saying hi to me, right? Yeah. But you would have seen that if your phone's in Facebook and I'm not trying, we all use it. It's business, it's wonderful, and there's benefits to social. Sure. It's just the time and place. So just be open to how much you're letting in. I also see you listen to podcasts, and we read books, and we do all this stuff, but we're also comparing ourselves to areas that we can't. So Oprah Winfrey, you're trying to take what she listens to and gives us. We can't really match what she's able to do. So then you feel like you're not sufficient, or you're under. Does that? Yep. I know that sounds kind of unique, but just be mindful of what you're listening to, because some people have abilities that we're not able to, whether it's financial or whatever it is. So don't feel like you're less than something because of a podcast or a book you've read or anything like that. So
silence is actually one of my daily 5.
I love that. See, it's perfect.
Yeah, it's one of my daily 5. It's a whole episode. I forget what episode number that one was. It's one of the beginning episodes. It might be
like
episode 8 or 9. Okay, maybe that I did.
6. That's a good one though. Maybe it was.
I don't know.
But it was my daily 5 that I do, and silence is number 1. And my time for silence is when I'm driving.
Good.
My phone's somewhere in my truck, and and I don't listen to the radio. I don't, and it's not every time, but it's kind of just, I just like to listen.
Right.
I just like to listen. That's good. Another thing that I would actually add to your list for people wanting to kind of tap into their body a little bit more is doing a body scan. Mm-hmm. That's always my favorite recommendation to my clients when they kind of ask me about that. Because I say, one of my favorite things to say to them is listen to your body. And people don't know how, and they literally they don't know how, and so that they're like, well, what do you mean listen to my body? And that's the first thing I suggest is do a body scan. Yep. Literally focus all of your attention starting at your toes, or starting at the top of your head, or starting in your fingertips, and work it all the way through your body.
And I actually do that in my readings too. Yeah. So I always say I'm not a medical, I'll ask, are you okay if I do a body scan? I just do a light, like a beazer, like a line of laser, and I just go through and I just ask Spirit, light up any areas that I need to be aware of, or that I can give a little guidance on. Mm-hmm. If I have carpal tunnel, your wrist will light up. It might be a knee. I might see legs that are different, sides, lengthwise, but I do a body scan as well. So that's a really great point of information. But yeah, ask yourself, ask those little questions of, what do I need guidance on today? What am I missing? And you're going to just get those little downloads. And you're like, is it really that simple? No, I want to start thinking and double questioning that. Don't do that. Just listen to it, journal it, and don't be an overthinker, because I think we get into that too.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. I think we block so much of our own intuition, because our logical mind starts to take over when we don't believe what our intuition, our intuitive hit was. We want to try to logic our way out of it.
Yeah, our ego.
Yeah, that's 100%. Yeah, our brain gets in the way.
Ego is not our amigo. We need it, but it's not.
Our ego is not our amigo.
I like that.
You need an ego. I'm not saying we
need the episode that.
You gotta make sure that what's really being said. That's why I say too, when we're connecting with Spirit and all that, I would say this isn't me. It's not. It's Spirit coming through me, and I'm just that voice control. But I don't ever get in your head that you're better, or that you're always in control. You just have to trust things and let it kind of flow through, and it's a positive aspect. So
that was beautiful.
Good stuff. I love intuition. I can sit here all day with you guys.
No, and just one other thing I wanted to add is, when that gut instinct feeling that I don't know if we touched on that or not, but that gut instinct feeling that you have, and it's almost like a split second feeling that you have in your body. Trust it. Trust it. Trust it. And because if you don't, you end up, you end up where you're supposed to be anyway. Correct. But trust it. It's
gonna take you longer to get there. It's just saying, you're gonna get those downloads, and you're like, I don't. Like, you get those. I don't want to say you get that feeling or something. This isn't right, or maybe I shouldn't get on the interstate today. Whatever it is, just trust it. It might be a little bit of an inconvenience. It might not make sense. It might even be like shift your energy from a job that you're doing. It doesn't mean you have to go quit your job. I'm not telling people to go make super advanced reactions to stuff, but just think about what it's saying. Maybe journal it, note it, but trust that, because your gut is. That's the number one thing. I always have I'm gonna have a reading with you. Should I buy a car? You know if you should buy a car. You know when you ask yourself, should I buy a car? What is your body telling you? Without getting all the thought into it, what are you feeling? It's yes or no.
People probably outsource a lot of their intuition to you. That's got to be hard as a medium. People want answers for things that they probably intuitively know the answer to themselves, or are just so disconnected that they don't trust their answer.
And that's why I know you had readings, but I always tell people one a year. That's what you need. Yeah. If you're going to, sometimes we're working through something, you can do 2 a year, but really you have to listen to that information that spirit and your body is giving you. So if you are continually going to seek that information through somebody else, your body's going to the spirit's going to keep on doing it's the same answer as last time.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to tell you anything that you don't already know. It's just those little nudges. So just trust yourself. It's really,
I love that.
And it is it's a difference though too from that gut instinct, or almost I think you said it earlier. It's kind of that subconscious or conscious thought, because I think some people might think it's their intuition talking when they're like, no, it's this, no, it's this, I know it's this, and it becomes more of an obsessive thought as opposed to an intuitive thought. Yeah. And so there's really making sure you're aware of the distinguishing factors between the two things, because you can turn your thought into reality, instantly.
But I want a coffee. I brew a coffee. That's manifestation.
Your mind is the most powerful tool you have. But yes, we can. You know what I mean? I say listen to that first response. It's very quick. It's very initial.
So quick,
and you will miss it if you are continually being busy and all the things we talked about today. You're gonna miss those sub cues, and you're gonna start creating your own thoughts, and then it's where we go down that pattern.
She's calling me out, y'all. Calling me out.
The spirit's calling me out.
I know. This message.
It's pretty good. It's for all of us. We all have we all have ways to improve. We really do. No one is perfect. It's all a journey. It's just how fast the journey is, how easy we make it. So maybe take anything away today. Just be open to those little feelings that you get, and just think, okay, what was it that I was feeling?
Absolutely.
And just
I love that.
tune into
I love that too.
So,
yes, awesome. All right, so before we wrap up, where can everybody find you if they wanted to get into contact with you or anything that you got going on in life?
Perfect. So my website is www.lauramariemedium.com. So you can find my website there. It talks about the classes that I offer as well as readings. So that's really a great way to find me. I'm also on Instagram as Laura_Marie_medium because Instagram has to make things difficult. And then Facebook is Laura Marie. It's like the one with the little comma, so whatever that's not the colon, but the semicolon spiritual medium. So you can find me on all of those. But yeah.
And Laura is also one of the founders of I forgot to say this at the beginning, but one of the founders of the AF social group as well. So you can find her there as well.
Thank you. So that's another wonderful journey. But all good stuff. Don't put stuff in your body that, don't drink. I don't know. You put stuff in your body, sunscreens, makeup, all the stuff, it's all filters. So that was another big part of my journey, is just drinking from it, and it was a big haze. So the alcohol-free social is a great group and just wonderful and supportive. So I'm happy to have both of you guys a part of that.
So all right. Well, you can find us online as well at all things at Upwell the Podcast. We're in all the places. So if this episode resonated with you, please be sure to like, share, comment, pass it along to anybody and everybody that you think would enjoy it. You can find myself personally at barefoot.katie. You can find Sarah at Sarah Beard. So until next time, take care of yourselves, take care of each other, and take care of the world around you. Bye, guys.
Bye.